Hi all! Everything in my video is pulled from the public domain, and I am using them under the Fair Use, Fair Dealings guidelines. Everything I say is my own opinion. You should look into this information for yourselves, but I'm pretty sure I'm right. Good morning, everybody. I appreciate everybody's patience. While I took a day off yesterday, I became overwhelmed. People coming in and out of the apartment, trying to move stuff over to the house, trying to coordinate. I just said, it's not happening. So we have a lot to catch up on. So let's just jump in and get there, shall we? Because there is so much. Let's go. We're going to start off with Princess Beatrice, who was at a BBC Earth event at the Dakin Center. She looked very lovely. Moving on. The National Coast Watch Institute welcomed their royal patron, Her Royal Highness, Princess Anne, the Princess Royal. She was at their Felixstowe station. She's doing what she usually does. She's going around quietly doing her job. All right, moving on. Next up, I just want to touch on this really quickly. Paul O'Grady died very unexpectedly but peacefully on Tuesday evening with his husband by his side. He was a good friend of Queen Camilla's. He went on to, he had a great career, but he went on to host a number of chat shows, and he loved dogs. And so with that, he and Camilla really bonded. Camilla put out a statement about how sad she was about his death. And it was just very unexpected. So, it hit everybody really hard. He actually had a drag queen alter ego named Lily Savage. That was very popular. All right, moving on. Next up, King Charles's first portrait was released. Now, what's interesting is that he didn't sit for this portrait. The artist observed him while he was doing some other things and then painted it. I think it's excellent. All right, moving on. I just wanted to touch on this story. They're saying that King Charles is really involved in the coronation planning, but that his mother wasn't. Well, I can understand that because we already know he's making a lot of changes. He's slimming down the coronation. He's inviting royals, which is something that wasn't done with Queen Elizabeth. He's making the coronation his. You know what I mean? He's not going to do just a generic coronation like his mother did. I think that's pretty cool. Also, this list came out of who's attending. Harry and Meghan are not on the list, but to be fair, they have yet to respond to the invitation. Moving on. Here we go. All right. The king and queen consort, when they get to Germany, it said they're going to eat with Philip's German relatives. We know that he didn't go to France because of the mass protests there over the increase in the age of retirement. But Germany's fabulous. Looks like they were well prepared for them. Now, very interesting. Spectacular photos were taken because their flight was escorted by German fighter planes. So they got a flight escort in to Germany. And look at the right, who's peeping out? Yes? Johnny. All right. So Charles and Camilla made it down the stairs. Nobody fell. Nobody tripped, unlike Biden. Sorry, I had to. I'm so sorry. I love Camilla's blue outfit. I thought she looked lovely. Of course, they gave her gorgeous flowers. They put them in the official car, and then they headed towards the area where they were going to be officially greeted. Now, some of these photos were gorgeous. I love this one with the flag, but I really love this one. I don't know who that photographer is, but well done. So President Frank Walter Steinmeier and his wife greeted the president upon their arrival, and they were greeted at the Berlin Gate, once a massive symbol of German division, and King Charles and Camilla are the first royals to be greeted there ever. Yes, Johnny was there. I'm sorry, guys, I couldn't help myself. Anyway, so like I said, they're the first ones to ever be greeted at the gate. It looked like everybody got along. And I got to tell you, when you look at these pictures of the amount of crowds, of the amount of pomp and circumstance that was put out, this is, people are like, oh, this is what Harry and Meghan got. You guys, this is nothing like what Harry and Meghan got. Harry and Meghan got a ninth of what these people are getting. I'm telling you. The crowds were huge. People loved Charles. They were so excited to see him and Camilla shaking their hands as they made their way through all the crowds that were just nothing like the 300 people behind one little barrier. This is completely different. So right off the bat, the trip is off to a good start. Now, apparently, the German hosts repeatedly checked the pens that Charles and Camilla would be using to sign the books. And they did that because here's one instance where Charles' pen wasn't working. Here's an instance where Charles' pen was leaking. So the Germans were going to make sure that none of that happened. Next up, King Charles and President Steinmeier met with other leaders and global activists to hear how other countries and businesses and societies are helping the climate. It was a green energy reception at Bellevue, which is the German presidential residence. Now, after that, the president and Charles planted a tree in memory of his mother, Queen Elizabeth II. It was done at the sustainability reception that took place in partnership with the Berlin Energy Transit Dialogue at the Presidential Palace. Very nice. I think it's lovely. Anybody who lives in the Presidential Palace will be looking at a tree for the Queen. Anyway, moving on, they're saying that Charles's attendance in Germany is really wielding some power because they're close allies. Now, later that night, there was a ball, right? It was the first state banquet in his reign. And of course, it took place in Germany at the Schloss Bellevue Presidential Palace. Thank you to Remoulade Sauce for all this. The Queen is wearing the Greville tiara, the City of London necklace, the Order of Merit of the Federal Republic of Germany, and her Garter star. She's also wearing a beautiful diamond bracelet that belonged to the Queen Mother and that she wore in her 60th birthday portrait. Here's a quick shot of what the inside of the venue looked like on that night. Anyway, I have to say, Camilla looked striking with the jewelry, and I liked her gown. And it seemed that she and the president's wife really seemed to forge a friendship and look like they were getting along really well, very nicely, with the little whispers and the talks. And of course, I had to put it up there. Yep, Johnny was there. Hi, Johnny. All right, one final picture before they went into the venue. I think they look lovely. Yeah, I think the evening was a success. There were a few photos of them seeing people in the receiving line. People were curtsying to Camilla. They were bowing to Charles. Then Charles got up and started talking. He spoke to the guests about the warmth of their friendship between their nations. Very nice. Then the German president stood up and said that a new chapter had been opened in relations between the two countries, which I agree. Doesn't Camilla look lovely? She really does, you guys. I can't get over it. She looks just fabulous. All right, let's move on to our next discussion. Oh, by the way, Angela Merkel, I believe is how you say her name, was seated next to Prince Charles. All right, next day. Here we go. It's the next morning. The king met up with Chancellor Scholz at the Federal Chancellery building for a bilateral meeting. They took the obligatory photos, the handshakes. My goodness, there were a lot of paparazzi there. So after the meeting, Charles met up with Camilla and they went to a marketplace. Now, Camilla was already at the Wittenbergplatz food market, and then Charles joined her there, and they went around, made their way through the crowds, and did a walkabout to meet some of the people. And then they started looking at the food. How could you not? I mean, it was just insanity. I love this. Look at the pictures sticking out of the garlic. It's just amazing. They got to taste test some of the food, and some of the shop owners gave them gifts. Okay, moving on. King Charles then went to the Bundestag. He's the first British monarch ever to address the German parliament. He paid tribute to all the deep historical bonds and the long-standing ties. He spoke not only in English, but also in German. I didn't realize his German was that good. He cut a few jokes. He talked about his mother. Yeah. Anyway, when he got back, when he was finished, he got a standing ovation from the crowd. That's how good his speech was. And when he was done, he and Camilla signed the guest book with the president standing there watching. All right, moving on. Now, later on, Queen Consort Camilla went to the opera. Now, this particular area was founded in 1892, and it works to bring performing arts to all levels of the community through different projects. Now, while Camilla was there, Charles went to view the Ukrainian arrival center that has welcomed over 70,000 people to the country. Now, while Charles was doing that, Camilla was meeting residents and refugees at the, pardon my expression, the Refugio House in Kreuzberg neighborhood of Berlin. Now, while that was happening, Charles went to northeastern Berlin to meet representatives from the German and UK military unit and see a demonstration of their bridge-building amphibious vehicles. I believe that so far the trip is going very well. All right, let's move on. Moving on, I have to agree with this Twitter user. We're going on to Harry and Meghan now. He is trying to sell an image of a happy man with good hair, but as you can see from these photos where he's not being photoshopped, he has some nerve criticizing William for his hair loss. I mean, are you kidding? But seeing about how he's so hypocritical in every other part of his life, this just doesn't surprise me at all. All right, let's dig in. Harry's case is going to have some problems. Number one, there's a statute of limitation issue. But the biggest problem is this reporter that supposedly this admission of guilt by this guy that supposedly targeted him is what brought this entire thing. But that man now is saying that he didn't do it. This man has now given a sworn statement to the court, essentially retracting everything that he ever said. That's a problem. And now he's being told you may have to adjust your expectation of witnesses because this guy, this man's statements, previous statements apparently are the whole basis for this lawsuit. And now he's denying that it ever happened. So unless they have some tangible proof that this guy actually is the one who did this, their case just went out the window in a massive way. He said he did not unlawful gather information. He might have gathered information, but he didn't hack, he didn't bug. Now, another problem with this case is that David Sherborne, who is the attorney for Harry and Elton John and all them, was also at the Levison inquiry. He had to sign a personal written undertaking. In other words, he had to sign documents where he said, I won't disclose, publish, or use these documents. Financial records from the publisher of the male titles was given to the inquiry, and under the protocols of the Levison inquiry, those documents were supposed to be treated as confidential, and Justice Lord Levison made an order that no documents shall be published or disclosed. But those ledgers were then passed to lawyers acting for Harry and the other people. So now the Mail is objecting to those documents being used in the case, as they should. This whole case could cost Harry a fortune, and it should. Now, we know that Harry didn't bother to go to the third day of the hearing, but of course, it's being suggested, and we know he didn't have to be there at all. It's being suggested that he was sent by Meghan just to see if he was going to be able to get back into the United States. Moving on, a blind item came out that essentially says that Harry used a friend's phone to text Chelsea Davy, and they got to talk on the phone. But they had to be able to have a private chat without Meghan finding out. So here's Harry doing everything possible to be able to talk to somebody without Meghan's permission. Interesting. And I have to tell you, I also find it very interesting that for somebody who's all about privacy, it didn't bother Harry to go into court and to start spilling information about yet another woman that he had a relationship with. I mean, Mr. Privacy here doesn't mind spilling other people's information. I found that very interesting. Now, as these other articles are coming out, I have to say it appears that Harry has become more out of touch and delusional with reality. He literally is clinging, he's clawing to those royal titles while he's anti-monarchy. He is now seeing himself as the new defender of the UK. And I might add that it was his brother, William, who brought the hacking situation to light. He's the one who spearheaded it, not Harry. And it led to the permanent shutdown of the media giant News of the World. Now, Harry is now claiming that the press robbed him of his teenage years. And I kept wondering, where is he getting this information from? Well, if you go through, first of all, let's go back and look at all the pictures of him. He wasn't robbed of his teenage years. What he's upset about is that his drinking and drug use and his behavior was put on full display for everybody. He felt that he should be able to do what he wants, when he wants, how he wants, and there was no repercussions and nobody would say anything. I think his family coddled the crap out of him after Diana died. I think he was out of control. I think they didn't know what to do with him. But no, he can't say they stole his teenage years because that just didn't happen. I mean, come on. He had a great childhood. Now, of course, these articles came out years ago saying that the private investigator apologized to Harry for stealing his childhood. So that's where he's getting this whole thought process from. And yes, it's the same PI that is now claiming that he didn't do any of it. So that really makes you sit back and go, wait a minute. No wonder Harry is so confused. Of course, it's also the drug usage. Let's not forget that. You know, I hope Harry has this guy's written apology, for something for court, because if not, this case is just doomed, seriously. All right, now I want to look at some of the headlines being churned out now by Montecito. Harry is Britain's second most popular choice to become the next monarch. Like, are you kidding? His popularity is sunk below Andrew's. I don't know where these titles come from. How about this one? The United States want their kids to have titles. I'm telling you. But the truth is this one. The Americans are backing King Charles. Absolutely. Now, it's being said that the chance of Harry and Meghan even going to the coronation is slipping because of their behavior, because of the things they're saying, because of the things they're doing, because Harry just launched another torpedo at his family. I mean, it's just never ending. And so, yeah, I agree. I think the chances of them attending are slipping away. And I think if they do attend, the chances of having any meaningful role are pretty much nil. And I'm sure that this article is true. They've been warned that if they don't behave themselves, they absolutely will not be invited to any other events in the future at all. Okay, let's move on. Now, I just had to point this out. For those of you who work so hard to raise money for Archewell, you should know that it came out that Harry and Meghan work 1 hour a week. They're multimillionaires, handing out money given to them by other people, living the high life, taking private jets everywhere, and they work 1 hour a week. So don't expect me to feel sorry for them. Sorry. All right, everybody. I so appreciate your patience with my not putting out a video. I'm going to try to catch up, but I may need to slow down for the next week or two. Anyway, don't forget to leave those comments below because you know I'm reading them, okay? Don't forget to hit that subscribe button and that bell to be notified of uploads. If you've already hit the button, double check to make sure you're still subscribed. Don't forget to go up into the description box and you'll find the links to my Twitter, my Getter, my Rumble, my email, my Patreon. There's a physical address in case you need to mail something. For those of you who've donated through my coffee fund and through the thanks button, thank you so much. And as always, you guys, have a great day.